So thank you guys so much for meeting with me today, Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins. Like I said earlier, my name is Sophia and I am the Master Social Work Clinical Intern. You guys have a lovely home. Thank you for inviting me out.
Of course.
Yeah. So before we get started, I do want to go over like a couple of just kind of like housekeeping things, right, about confidentiality and stuff. So first of all, I wanted to let you guys know that everything that we're going to talk about is going to stay between the three of us, right? This is a completely confidential space. There are a couple exceptions to that, however, and that is if you tell me anything about a child or someone who's elderly being abused, I do have to report that because I'm a mandated reporter. Additionally, if you tell me anything about wanting to hurt yourself or wanting to hurt someone else, I do have to report that as well, just to make sure everybody's as safe as possible. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, great. The other thing is, because I'm a Master of Social Work intern, that means I'm working under what's called clinical supervision. So I do discuss cases with my supervisor. She is a licensed clinical social worker and she can just give me guidance and help along the way. Is that something you guys would be okay with?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, Mrs. Jenkins, I know we spoke on the phone just a little bit about what's going on, but I wanted to see if you could kind of start us off and let Mr. Jenkins know a little bit about what we talked about, how you're feeling, that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, I guess I would say it probably started a couple years ago. Mr. Jenkins had a stroke, and it left him with a little bit of weakness on his right side. Before the stroke, he was pretty active. He liked bowling and tennis, and was just really out there in the community. And then I think after the stroke, the rehabilitation was really hard, and he really hasn't been as active since then. And then I would say more recently, he's just seemed a little reserved.
Okay.
And we have had some accidents recently.
Okay.
So it's just been a little bit harder.
A little bit harder, yeah. Yeah, first of all, Mr. Jenkins, I'm so sorry to hear that you had a stroke, and that it's been impacting your life to this level. How are you feeling about what Mrs. Jenkins said about what's going on?
It's been hard. It's been a difficult past couple of years. Things haven't, quite gone the way I thought they were going to, and things have been, I guess, been going on a downhill.
Okay, a downhill. Yeah. When you say a downhill, could you tell me a little bit more about that downhill?
Well, like she said, it's just it hasn't been the same since my stroke. I'm physically weaker in my right arm. I have some trouble talking. I just not where I expected to be at this point in my life, and it's been hard to do things just even on a day-to-day basis. So harder than what it used to be.
Gotcha. Okay. So how are you feeling about that being harder? I know, because I hear you saying that it's difficult and it's been harder, but what is that felt like when you're saying it's difficult and harder?
Feels bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing, feeling limited as I do now.
Okay, limited.
Yeah, it's not something I want to talk about, let alone have to experience, but I can't help experiencing it, but at least I don't have to talk about it as much as I can. So.
Yeah. I can definitely, I hear you when you say that, at least you don't have to talk about it and bring it up. Mrs. Jenkins, how has that been feeling for you, like kind of watching your partner go through this?
Well, I think there's a lot of emotions. There's I think a little bit of maybe anger for where we're at, a little bit of grief almost, that it's not what we planned, it's not what we thought, and where we thought we would be. But I think more than anything, there's just fear. There's a lot of fear right now, a lot of maybe you'd call it like anxiety, just a lot of that kind of emotion too, for me at least.
Okay. Yeah, that's completely valid. I definitely want to validate that. You know, anxiety when it comes to what does the next phase of life look like? How do we kind of navigate this together? What does that mean for both of you together as a couple, but then also individually, right? So I definitely want to say that that's extremely valid, and I want to see how I can help. Okay. I want to start, Mr. Jenkins, with kind of talking a little bit about, you mentioned being a little bit more withdrawn and not having to talk about it with people as much. Can you tell me more about that?
I just found, after everything, that it was easier. I mean, I can't do the same things physically as I used to do.
Okay.
I like to, like my wife said, I was pretty active. I like to, bowl out in the lawn. I like to play tennis. I like to volunteer. It's harder for me to do those things now. And I just found that with not being able to do those things, it limited my social calendar as it was, and just was easier to not go out and do things, and then I could avoid talking about it because it's a conversation everyone wants to have, and it's not really one that I care to bring up.
Is it, when you say it's not one that I care to bring up, is it that you don't, because you're just almost like tired of talking about it because it's your everyday experience, or do you think there are some deeper feelings associated with it? I'm curious as to what that looks like for you.
It's frustrating.
Of course.
It's frustrating to have people ask me these questions almost as if they know what I'm going through, and they try to level with me about it, and unless you're in that, unless you've experienced it, and even if you have experienced it, you don't experience it the same way that I would.
Of course.
It just is a frustrating conversation to get into, and nobody knows all the details, but it's hard when I can't even keep myself composed, that I don't want to have that conversation.
Of course, that makes complete sense. And so I hear you saying a lot of things like you used to be very independent. Was independence something that was important to you?
Yes, I mean, I enjoy being married, but yes, being independent was something that I don't know if I prided myself in, but I definitely looked forward to having activities to do, people to see, and all of this has really shortchanged a lot of that, and it's been rough trying to. I won't be able to get back to it, but to navigate forward, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's the loss of independence. It's, feeling like you can't have these conversations, things like that. Okay. Am I missing anything when I say those?
No, I mean, it's hard to talk about with others, and it's hard to go through the day to day because I don't want to put anything on my wife to have to take care of me. I've, like you said, I've always prided in myself on being independent enough. Not that she can't help take care of me, but I don't want her to feel like she has to take care of me, or there's the need to take care of me.
How do you think your role as a husband in this situation, how this has changed your role as a husband in this situation. Like either, you know, thinking of the stereotypical quote unquote man roles, right? Do you think this has like impacted your view of that at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried not to have that stereotypical thought of being a husband, but it definitely makes it harder knowing that I've had accidents and that there was nothing I could do about it, and that, you know, my wife has had to help me in a way that she had to help our child with. It's not, that's not something I wouldn't have put her in the position of having to do, so.
Yeah. I'm almost hearing, when you're talking, I'm almost hearing a sense of shame that comes along with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would you say
I think there's definitely some shame involved. Hard to admit it, but yeah, there's definitely some difficulty, and there is a feeling of shame of knowing that I can't even really control my body after the accident.
Thank you for saying that. I know that is not the easiest thing to talk about, especially, you know, we did just meet each other like 10 minutes ago. So I know that can be really difficult, and I think you saying that is really impactful, right? Because once you name it, you can kind of distance yourself from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I want to challenge you to not think of Mr. Jenkins as the problem, right? The problem is the shame that's a result of the condition that you're in, right? And that shame is leading you to withdraw from friends and family, and leading you to, you know, feel as though you can't take care of yourself. In narrative, so the technique that I was thinking we could do is called narrative therapy, right? And part of it is learning to focus on the problem is the problem. The person is not the problem, right? The problem is not Mr. Jenkins, or the problem is not Mrs. Jenkins. The problem is the emotion or the thing that we're dealing with. In this case, Mr. Jenkins' shame, right? And we'll touch bases with you in a second, Mrs. Jenkins. But, and how do we deal with that problem, right? It's not you and Mrs. Jenkins versus each other, it's you two versus the shame, right? It's you two versus the anxiety, right? And that's how we kind of figure out how to move forward. Does that sound like something you guys would be interested in exploring?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm curious, Mrs. Jenkins, how do you feel hearing all of that coming from Mr. Jenkins?
Well, I mean, it's hard. He is not the stereotypical patriarchal husband, but he is, you know, my rock, and was always sort of like my caretaker. You know, he's a few years older than me, so he was just always looked out for me, and now I'm looking out for him. So for me, it's kind of like returning the favor, but it's a shift in our dynamic, and it's, you know, I can see why he would feel all of those things, but I feel like as his wife, it's my responsibility to look after him. I wish he didn't feel that way. I understand it, but it's still hard to hear that that's how he feels about it. And I just feel that it's my responsibility to meet him where he's at right now, and to help him.
Your responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. How do you think that responsibility is kind of manifesting itself in the day-to-day life? That feeling of responsibility.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier, there's a lot of fear. Fear that I'm not gonna be there when he needs me, or that I'm not doing enough to take care of him. But I guess I feel a lot more fear, a lot more on edge than I used to feel, just because I'm so worried now about making sure that I'm there for him.
Okay. So I hear a lot of I know you've said this several times, but I'm hearing you say like a lot of fear, basically. There's just a lot going on there. So is it fair to say that that's kind of where a lot of your, I know when we spoke over the phone, you said you were having trouble sleeping at night, things like that. Do you think that's where a lot of that is coming from?
I think so. It gets
Okay.
worse at night, for sure. Just making sure that, I think I'm restless because I'm afraid that I'm missing something, or that something's gonna happen and I won't be there.
Yeah. Okay. So in the same way that, you know, you two are we're going to join forces up against the shame, I also want to explore how you two can join forces against the fear, right? Because that is another theme that I heard from you, Mr. Jenkins, as well, right? That there was some fear about, you know, what's coming next, the anxiety, the unknown, that sort of thing. So what I'd like to do is kind of explore over the next couple sessions, explore strategies as to how we can team you guys up together to fight that fear and fight that shame. Okay, we'll do that in a couple different ways. We'll look at the ways that you guys have successfully combated those things together, because believe it or not, you have, right? And it's all about rewriting that story to figure that out. Does that sound like a good plan?
It
That
does.
sounds good. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And we're gonna end it here. Okay, awesome.